The Drool, the whole thing, this is an original idea of mine. Despite what you may hear from me, it was actually created in the mid 1990s. I can't tell you which exact date because I was very young at the time. It was my take on, kind of inspired by Mad Magazine and a movie called The Pirate Movie. Now, for those who don't know that, um, it was kind of a spoof of the Gilbert and Sullivan's Pirates of Penzance. For you, those of you who don't know that, get yourself some culture. Okay, it's a play. It's an old play. This particular spoof was actually a like rock version of it. It had very like, I wouldn't say hardcore rock themes, but it was funny. It was tongue in cheek. There was a lot of really kind of, at the time for me it was kind of like taboo stuff. Yeah, it's sexual jokes and everything else, cussing. I wasn't prone to a lot of cussing when I was a kid. There's one scene where a guy is up on a chandelier and the other guy is holding a sword, and the one guy yells out "nuts," and the guy holding the sword down below him goes "them too." So you could tell what type of movie it is. It's neither here nor there. That has nothing to do with Drool in a whole. What it does have to do with is the band's name, the Drool, stems from the characters that are found by the group. They call themselves the Drool because one of their stage props is a huge, giant Eat at Joe's prop that has a fork in one hand and a knife in another and is drooling in the center. Is not associated with any band nowadays or even before. Drool was an original idea when I created it. The whole thing about a band running into misadventures, playing music and stuff like that, cartoonish, definitely reminds you of Gorillas. This was well before Gorillas. That's another reason why I don't want to release it, because even though they're my original ideas, a lot of people may associate it while I'm just copying off the success of this or that. Drool was also inspired, at least artistically wise, at least the main character was also inspired by Garfield, because at the time Garfield was really popular. I liked Garfield. The character's name is John, spelled differently, Jon. But he does have that striking resemblance with Jard Arbuckle from the Garfield series. Penny is a blonde who is the singer of the group. She is just one click away from just becoming like a demonic spirit. She is this shy, reserved singer. Basically, she's very soft spoken and stuff like that, but when she gets up on the stage, she just goes like death metal. I thought it was so fun to have somebody with like almost like a dual personality, which comes in later in the story. And they're not the only characters, too. I had literally 50 or more different characters, stemming from an Elvis impersonator to some lady that's a big lady on an airplane, to their boss, to Penny's sister, her father who runs a German pub. He calls it the Papa Bar. I had some mad streaker who would chase after Penny, and he would always yell "Penny," and that's the only thing he could say. He carried a stick with him. Oh gosh, I had some old guy that he was some old man that was next door to him, that he was just never happy with anything, but he was always screwing things up and he would never take blame for anything. All sorts of characters and stuff, and that's just off the top of my mind. If I look at my older pictures, I'm pretty sure I can find more. But neither here nor there. To the plot. John and Penny. The two of them basically get married. This is early story idea. They get married. they get this gig, and they want to start they want to start their own band, because they were kind of, John was kind of given an ultimatum by his rival Stan Manley from college, that he had to, they had a bet that he would have to, make a band out of himself. So they tried everything they can. John can't sing. John can only play a few chords on a guitar. Penny's just totally nuts. But they still land a gig in Australia. So they go to Australia. And that's when their journey actually kind of begins. It's slightly before. They had no inspiration. They were kind of lost. Then they found in their dumpster behind a cook place, like I said, a giant prop of a man holding a knife and a fork, and on the fork was another little crash test dummy hanging from it on top of the fork, and it said "Eat at Joe's," just very generic, silly little thing. Turn around, they take that with them because it's in a dump. They have a van, they took it, they threw it in their van, they didn't think anything of it. They go to Australia. They have all their stuff shipped. They're going to be running their first gig. Lo and behold, they run into a band called the Snipes at the, I think it was the Larrikin, Billabong Larrikin. Yeah, it's like cuss words in Australia. And they run into the Snipes. It's this group, guy dressed in an anime outfit with buggy eyes and short hair, big old buff guy with a guitar. He's got lingerie on, and then you got the drummer who's got a purple mohawk, and he's a short guy. He's like a midget, and it was just they end up deciding who's going to play for the night, because it's like, well, we were here first and we were given the okay. Well, okay, we'll play, but we have to decide who plays. We're going to play dwarf tossing. Yeah, I mean, this is just totally crazy. I mean, Drool was just totally nuts, and they ended up winning. So they got to play, and sure enough, there's an agent in Australia that takes them and gives them a gig in America. Sits there and says, "You guys suck. You guys don't know what it is that you're playing, and you are totally repulsive in your music experience and everything." But it seemed like everybody in the first two rows was just loving them. And they couldn't understand why, but there was people actually buying T-shirts of Drool, and they called themselves Drool at the time. T-shirts and da-da-da-da. So the main drummer of the Snipes says, "Hey, I'm going to ditch these losers. I'm going to join you guys. You guys need a drummer." And his name is Gordy. So they make the Drool. Penny, John, Gordy, and the agent. I just call her the agent. I don't have her name. Go back to America. Set up a band. The first gig they play, same thing happens. People 3 rows back are going, "Oh man, this is the most repulsive garbage. Why are they allowing them to play? This is the worst music you could possibly play." They played a song called "I Killed My Doggy with a Crowbar." So obviously, half of the people are booing, but the other half of the people are eating it up, sitting there, once again, buying T-shirts, buying their albums, buying this, buying that. They're the most disgusting, repulsive song you could ever hear. And yet, people were eating it up. To find out that secretly, and then this carries on for a few episodes of them trying to start a band and them trying to go, and there's one episode where they're going into a haunted house for a publicity stunt, and then there's one episode where, it's like Scooby-Doo, where they're solving some sort of mystery. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that happen, because I've got all sorts of little ideas. They got one where they're going to be accepting a Grammy Award. Well, they're not going to be accepting it. I should say they're not going to be accepting it. They're getting it on behalf of Steve Tyler from Aerosmith, the lead singer from Aerosmith. They get stuck in an elevator with a rap band called Iron MC, which is these rappers with metal masks over their mouths. It's just I got so many ideas, so much stuff with this. I could probably go through a theme right now where they go into the bottom of the ocean. They have a band in the middle of the ocean. All of this stems from the fact that the two dummies that they picked up from the back of that restaurant are inhabited by aliens. Yes, you heard me right. They are inhabited by aliens. And the reason why they're inhabited by aliens is because they got a signal from space from 20 years or 10 years in the past that played disco music. Aliens hated the disco music and wanted to destroy the earth. So they sent two aliens down to basically destroy earth by basically wrecking people's minds. So the puppets are basically inadvertently, or not inadvertently, they are basically making people crazy. So they the aliens in outer space are getting ready to invade Earth. This is like some of the way later episodes. Getting ready to invade Earth. And the two puppets that they have with the Drool basically like what they seen on Earth and stuff like that and don't want to destroy Earth after all. So between the Drool, their puppets, and stuff like that, they basically turn back the aliens. Like I said, the Drool was beloved to me just for the sheer craziness of the whole thing. I mean, I get to the point where it's like, wow, I should do a comic strip. I should do this, and I start doing a couple of them, and then I go, I just don't feel it anymore. I love it. It fills me with so much happiness. It fills me with so much delight and stuff like that. But it never seems to be exactly what I want it to be when I start to actually get down to do it. So I hope this gives you a little bit of insight what the Drool was, whatever you want to say. And that's it. That's the Drool of the whole thing.